My name is Lily. I'm sitting in my car, the throbbing in my cheek fading slowly. Outside the Los Angeles event hall, the night air is sharp, and I can still hear the low hum of whispers from inside. The events that just unfolded are still fresh in my mind, a whirlwind of humiliation and betrayal. 2 weeks ago, I thought my life in Los Angeles had finally found its balance. After years of working long 16-hour days, I was promoted to marketing director at a well-known firm. The first thing I did was reward myself with a Tesla, a symbol of all the hard work I'd put in from scratch. My family, on the other hand, has always been a complicated story. My parents, Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, are part of the upper-class social circle in LA. My father is a shrewd businessman, running Thompson Enterprises, a large financial firm. He's always been about power and control, believing that men are the natural leaders and should be given more leeway. My mother, a socialite, is constantly involved in high-profile charity events and business associations. She's the kind of person who values appearances above all else and has always doted on my younger brother, Ethan. Ethan, 2 years younger than me, has never really had to work hard for anything. He's been coddled and protected by my parents. Whenever he made mistakes, my mother would come up with excuses. When he crashed his first car, she said it was because the roads were slippery. When he failed his college courses, she blamed the professors. And when he lost yet another job, she just sighed and said he was still finding his way. I, on the other hand, had to fight for everything. I worked 2 jobs through college to pay my rent and tuition. I skipped vacations and turned down social invitations, all to build my career. The day I drove my Tesla home, I was so excited. I thought my parents would finally be proud of me. But when I pulled into the driveway, no one came out to see it. When I walked in, my mother didn't even look up from her magazine. "That's nice, dear," she said, and then started talking about Ethan's latest scheme to start a trendy coffee shop. One afternoon, a beautiful cream-colored envelope arrived in my mailbox. It was an invitation to my mother's 55th birthday party at the Los Angeles event hall. I was hesitant at first, but then I thought it might be a chance to reconnect with my family. I even bought a new, elegant dress, hoping for a peaceful and joyous evening. The night of the party, the hall was filled with over 50 guests. Soft music played in the background as people mingled, sipping champagne. My father was in the center of the room, talking business with some important clients. Ethan was surrounded by a group of friends, laughing and soaking up the compliments. I sat at a corner table, feeling a bit out of place, forcing a smile when necessary. Then, my mother stepped forward with a microphone in her hand. Her voice, calm and confident, carried across the hall. "Tonight," she said, "my daughter Lily will give her Tesla to her brother Ethan as a symbol of family love and support." The room went dead silent. I could feel all eyes on me. My heart was pounding, but I managed to stand up and say firmly, "That's not happening." My father's face turned red. His chair scraped against the floor as he stood up. "Lily," he said in a low, dangerous tone, "you will do as your mother says." I stood my ground, and before I knew it, his hand struck my face. The sound was so sharp that the music stopped. My earring fell to the floor, rolling under the tables. I felt a burning pain on my cheek, but I refused to cry. I wiped my lip, lifted my chin, and reached for my clutch. I found my phone and called my attorney, Mark Davis. "It's happening now," I said when he answered. His calm voice came through the phone, "Stay calm. I'm on my way." I walked out of the hall, the whispers of the guests following me like a cold wind. Outside, I leaned against my car and looked back through the glass doors. My mother was still on the stage, her expression unreadable. My father was pretending nothing had happened, and Ethan was sitting there, looking down at his hands. 20 minutes later, Mark arrived. He walked into the room with an air of calm authority. My parents looked confused and a bit scared as he approached. Mark introduced himself as my attorney and explained that the Tesla was registered solely under my name, purchased with my own money, and fully insured under my account. He showed the legal documents, and each word he spoke was like a hammer blow to my parents' hopes. My father stood there, his hands clenched, as the guests started whispering again. Some people even started leaving the party. Ethan looked like a deer in the headlights, his smug expression gone. Mark calmly stated that the car belonged to me, and there was no way it could be given away. The silence in the room was palpable. My mother opened her mouth to say something, but no words came out. My father's shoulders slumped, and for the first time, I saw defeat in his eyes. I turned and walked out, not looking back. The next morning, my phone was buzzing non-stop. I thought it was work, but when I saw the notifications, I realized that someone at the party had posted the video of what happened. The title "The Tesla Slap" had gone viral. Within hours, the video had millions of views. There were countless comments, some full of sympathy for me, others outraged at my parents' behavior. By noon, every news outlet in Los Angeles had picked up the story. My father's company, Thompson Enterprises, faced immediate backlash. Major partners suspended contracts, and investors pulled out. My mother's social circle, the exclusive women's business league, issued a statement removing her from the board. Ethan's so-called friends unfollowed him, and the girl he'd been dating ghosted him. He sent me a text saying, "This got out of control," but I didn't reply. I had nothing to say to him. Meanwhile, my inbox was flooded with messages from strangers. Some were journalists asking for interviews, while others were people who had similar experiences. They told me that watching the video made them feel seen and that they were inspired by my courage. 2 weeks after the incident, there was a knock on my apartment door. When I opened it, my parents were standing there, holding a bouquet of red roses. They looked older and smaller, their confidence completely shattered. My mother tried to smile, but her lips trembled. "Hi, sweetheart," she said softly. My father cleared his throat and said, "We thought we should come see you. We've lost everything, Lily. The business is in ruins, and we might lose the house. We need your help." I looked at them and said, "You didn't lose me. You threw me away." My voice was calm, but there was a coldness in it. My mother covered her mouth and started to cry. She reached out to take my hand, but I stepped back. My father lowered his head and said, "We made mistakes. We thought we were doing what was best for everyone." I looked at him and said quietly, "You were doing what was best for yourselves." My mother wiped her tears and said, "Please, Lily, we're still a family." But the word family didn't mean the same thing to me anymore. It had become a fragile concept, built on false hopes and broken trust. Ethan also sent me a message saying he would try to change, but I turned my phone face down. There were no words that could bridge the gap between us. 3 months later, my life has finally become quiet. The chaos has faded away. I've moved into a new apartment overlooking the city. It's not luxurious, but it's bright and peaceful, a place I've chosen for myself. At work, I've been promoted to oversee a larger regional branch. The salary is more than I could have ever imagined, and it's a result of my hard work and determination. I'm also collaborating with Mark on a non-profit project to help women gain financial independence. My mother now spends most of her time in a small garden behind the house she once used for grand social events. My father has retired early, his reputation in tatters. Ethan has found a job delivering packages, and for the first time, he's working hard on his own. As I drive down the wide avenues of Los Angeles in my Tesla, I look at the city lights and think about how far I've come. I've learned that true respect comes from standing up for myself, even when it's hard. And sometimes, the best way to find peace is to let go of the past and move forward with confidence.